Last time on the FXNT Create 3 mod pack, I made a bone and XP farm from skeleton spawners. I also made a tree farm that grows and chops down every single type of tree, except mangrove. And the nether trees for that matter, but they're not trees, they're fungus, so let's not talk about that. Today, I want to make a quarry in order to generate a whole bunch of cobble and gravel and andesite for my future farms, and I also want to have even more villagers. I've currently got 4 villagers inside of my barn for generating emeralds, and below these villagers, I have another 4 villagers who are librarians that generate books, like mending and useful things like that. But none of these villagers are particularly useful for things like tools and armor, and that's what I want to change today, as well as building that quarry. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to make a villager breeder. I mean, I could just go to a different village and steal a whole bunch more villagers, but I quite like the idea of making infinite villagers. How hard could it be? What could possibly go wrong? In vanilla Minecraft, there's a whole bunch of different ways to make villager breeders, and one of the most simple ways is basically something like this. You have a couple of villagers standing on a fence post surrounded by a few beds and then a bit of glass underneath. Then all you need to do is make these villagers very happy by giving them a lot of food, and because they've got beds the food all fell. Oh jeez, guys, you're supposed to get that food and eat it. I guess if I put the food on these trapdoors, you'll be able to pick it up. Maybe. No, they picked up some of it. But anyway, you feed the villagers. They decide they've got full bellies, so therefore it must be time to make babies. And then when they make babies, they fall off the fence post and end up in here, as we'll see now. They're thinking about making babies. They made a baby. The baby falls down there. And then all you do is you come down here, you use the carry-on mod, and you just put the baby villager in there for safekeeping. I forgot to put a floor in my hole. Oops. Anyway, then they'll make more villagers until they run out of food, at which point you feed them some more, and then you'll get more babies. And by doing it manually, as in feeding them manually, you can limit how many babies you get in. The other way of doing this would be to make both of these farm villagers, put them in a farm where they can harvest and grow their own food, and then make them throw food to other villagers, which would then be collected, fall down holes, or basically you'll find some way of moving those baby villagers around to get them away from the adults where you can then use them for something else. But then you've got infinite villagers, and I don't want infinite villagers, I just want some. So something like this would be ideal, but we've got Create, so can I make this better? And there we go, look at this. This is a much more Create style machine. It is almost exactly the same as that one, but this time we've got Create blocks. We've even got a conveyor, and instead of being stood on a fence post, these guys are actually stood on a shaft. So now if I give them plenty to eat, there we go, you just take it from there, sir. That's lovely. Just take all of these tasty carrots. You two can then get in the mood and make me some babies, and we can see exactly how this wonderful conveyor system is going to work. Oh, there we go. A baby's going to be on its way any second now. There we go. A baby has been born, and it did, but oh, jeez. I didn't put the floor in there. But you get the point. We can make a villager breeder look a little bit more Create, even though it's not actually any more Create than this one. The only thing it doesn't do is automatically feed them, which I think I do want to put a system in place for, and it also doesn't have a block above their heads, meaning that should lightning strike at any point and this is outside, they're going to get turned into witches. And here we go. We have a larger system with a roof. We've still got our villagers in there who are currently throwing each other carrots. And now we've got a conveyor going up to a chute. And that conveyor is coming out of a barrel which has carrots in it. And every 10 seconds, it's going to release the stack of carrots which will go into that chute, go on there, and it will feed the villagers. And we've even got a lever on the front in case we want to turn it off so they don't get fed anything. And there you go, you can see they're getting in the mood once again. One of them's not happy. That could be because I punched them a bit, because they kept getting in the way of the glass. And because they're angry at me, I'm going to have to simulate a baby coming out of this machine. And as you expect, just like before, it would come along this conveyor, go on there, and then it, well, oh geez. Oh no, not again! So now that I've successfully deleted 3 babies from my test world, it's probably a good idea that I spend some time thinking about where we're going to actually build this. And it makes sense to build it in this area, near where my farms are, just because we got access to all of these crops in here. But in terms of where to put it, I'm not entirely sure, because I quite like how quaint and small this little area is. And we could build it there where that tree farm is, because we don't need that anymore, thanks to my big tree farm over at the new area. In fact, that makes sense. Yes, let's do that. We'll build it outside. And building this thing's going to be pretty simple, so let's go through it. We're going to start off with a 5x5 base. Next, I'm going to add in a little bit of this weathered iron window on those 3 blocks there, and then on top of those, I'm going to put some copycat slabs, and I'm also going to put a copycat slab just there as well, break that one, and then just texture those with this weathered iron. In the middle of that, I'm going to pop my shaft down, and then on top of those, I'm going to put the 4 beds just like this, and that does create a bit of a gap between those, but we can cover that up in a minute. Now, above these, you can have basically anything as long as it's tall enough to stop the villagers jumping out. So we could just go for some copycat panels like this. We could use some more slabs like this. It really doesn't matter. But you do need something that's going to be able to hold the carrots or the vegetables on that doesn't slide off. And as you can see, because that is above a bed block, it technically takes the bounciness from the bed below it. And just to demonstrate that a little bit more clearly, if I put a bed down there and throw an item onto it, you'll see that item bounces off the bed. Whereas if I throw it on the floor, it doesn't bounce. And if I put something on top of that bed, the items will still bounce off that because it's the block above the bed, but not a full block. Because if I put that above the bed and then throw items onto there, they don't bounce. They just sort of stay there. And because we don't really want the vegetables bouncing anywhere, it probably makes more sense, rather than just having these panels here, to just have the copycat slabs the entire way around this, assuming that the villagers will actually be able to reach them in order to get their carrots. Now, we do want them to have a roof above their heads, so I'm going to use some more of this around here. I'm going to get rid of the slabs that are directly underneath those and replace those with the windows there. And then just at the top, we're just going to have another 5x5 load of blocks that we can use for decorating this entire thing and stopping them from getting struck by lightning. And so after a couple more minutes, I've just adjusted a few things, added some lanterns on there, and I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. But I don't actually want this system down here to feed them. We want to automatically feed them a little bit. So I'm going to get rid of that copycat thing that I put there, put a couple of chutes up in here above that slab, and then we just need to automate getting our carrots into here. And for that, we could use frog pots and chain dries and things like that. Or I could just use the storage drawers. In order to connect the storage drawers from our system here to the other side of this building, I'm going to need to use a whole bunch of trim. And I think the easiest thing to do would be to come underground, underneath the building, and up the back of this thing and back over the top. And I'll do my best to make this look as nice as possible. So first of all, I think I should dig down a little bit here, come inside of there, and hopefully that's going to be, yeah, right at the back of our storage drawers. Fantastic. So if I grab some of this oak trim, I can connect that to that. And then if I bring this down another block, I'm going to be able to see it from inside the basement, but that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to run that in a straight line all the way across here. And there we go. We now have our storage trim all the way from our little building over there, over to here. And now I'm just going to bring this up the back of all of this. Then I'm going to stick on a drawer controller interface, and that shows me that it can access everything in the storage system, which is fantastic. But actually, before I add that, I'm going to put that out of the way, because I actually want to stick a smart chute on here with a redstone link. And this redstone link I'm going to label with a carrot and then an emerald to signify this is to do with villagers. I'm going to put that in receive mode, and I'm not going to attach this yet because now I need another one of these with a lever to invert it to basically stop all of the carrots just being poured out of the system. That means I also need to filter this smart chute. So back down at the bottom for now, this is probably where I want to stand to actually call for carrots. So I'm going to stick a button on there, put our little redstone link on here, and then when I press that button, that's going to activate that, which is going to lock that smart chute. We actually need to invert that. So what I'm going to do, instead of having this here, I'm going to move that, bring it over to the back of this block here with our carrot and our emerald in receive mode. Then I'm going to put on a redstone torch, and that means that this smart chute is locked unless I press the button. When I press the button, it's going to unlock, allowing a few carrots through. So let's see if this works, shall we? Not that we've got any villagers to eat the carrots, but let's see. If I press the button, we should see some carrots, there we go, coming out onto that hopper. And I don't think there should be many, maybe 2 or 3 stacks. Yeah, 3 stacks. Perfect. The only other thing I want on this is another set of storage drawers somewhere so that I can put the carrots in that come out that the villagers don't get, so I'm not wasting them, letting them despawn. And I think the best place for that's probably going to be around about here once I've built up a little bit more of this platform and a little bit more of this building that we're going to have going on here. Let's just try it again. Wonderful, that worked. Grab those and then just throw those in there. The only downside to this is that even though these carrots are closer to our access port than the other ones. They're not considered the primary ones, so when I actually click the button to get more carrots, it doesn't take them out of there, it takes them out of the other ones, which means eventually over time this one's going to fill up and the other one's going to be empty. So this might not be the best way of doing it, but it'll do for now. Now, before I go ahead and start throwing some villagers into this thing, it would probably be a good idea to finish off the rest of this building so there's actually somewhere to put my new villagers. And of course, this building needs to be a library because that's what I want. I want librarians to be able to sell me enchanted books. That means I want my enchantment table set up here, my anvil, things like that, an XP machine, and that is going to lead me down another little rabbit hole. Because of course, all the way back here at my tree farm, we are generating a whole bunch of XP from my skeleton spawner. But this tree farm is a considerable distance from where I'm going to be having the villagers. If we look at the map, you can see there's my tree farm here, and all the way back along the track, we've got our new area and our villagers are going to be just here. So how am I going to pump that without using loads of pumps and pipes from Create to get it all the way over there? Well, I'm going to be using something else from the Ender storage mod, the same thing I used in the Nether for our infinite lava, and that is just simply the Ender tank. And by crafting up 2 of these, I'll be able to place one of them in here to actually have all of the XP being pumped into it from there, another one at the villager breeder, and then I can access that XP whenever I need to make sure I've got plenty of levels for enchanting. That does mean I need to turn this XP into liquid XP in order to get it in there. However, thinking this through a little bit more carefully, it wouldn't make sense to have a whole XP processing system over at the tree farm, because this is a tree farm and not an XP processing farm. So the other thing I could do is just rearrange a couple of these drawers. If I put the sticks just out of the way for a second, pop the XP down where that was, and then I can just pop the sticks back where the XP was, then underneath the XP, I can dig a little hole, put down an ender chest, and then have a smart chute filtering that into the ender chest, and then just grab the actual XP nuggets at the other area and process it there. That makes more sense. And now all I'm going to do is stick that smart chute on top of there. That's going to start filling up that ender chest, as we can see here. And of course, I want to filter that just in case there's something else happens to go into it. So now I can go back to the other area and pull all of that XP out. Now you might be wondering why I didn't use the ender chest to move the carrots from here to the villager breeder. And the simple reason for that is I don't want the carrots completely draining from here, because I am going to be using them for cooking. So I want most of the carrots in there and just a few sending through here when we need them. So let's just throw down this other ender chest, throw on the lime green dye, and when I open that, there we go. Look, it's absolutely full of nuggets, ready to be processed. And in order to do that, I need a building. So I guess it's probably time-lapse time. And there we go. We've got a building that looks very similar to this one, keeping it in the style of the area, and it's got plenty of space in there for all of the things we need. If we hop through the door, you can see we've got the villager breeder bit at the back here with just enough room to fit in. We've got an area here where we can be processing our liquid experience, and over here we've got plenty of space for librarians downstairs as well as upstairs as well. So that liquid experience then, we need to get a little processing system set up for that. So let's pick up this ender chest here. We're going to throw that down somewhere over here, and then what we need to do is be able to get these out of there and turn them into a liquid. And for that, we're going to need a few different Create components, starting with our casing to put our ender chest on, and then somewhere near that, we're going to be having a grindstone, and then somewhere near that, we're going to be having a big old fluid tank that's going to be absolutely full to the brim of our liquid experience. This grindstone is going to take the experience, crush it down into liquid, and deposit it in here, which means we need a pipe and a pump to be able to take it out of there and put it into that tank. It also means we're going to need a little bit of power, and we're also going to need a belt to get the items from there into the grindstone. I don't want the power on that side. I actually want to spin this round so the power's on the other side so we can disguise it a bit better. I'm also going to put an experience hatch on this tank so that I can drop off my own experience in there nice and easily and take it out nice and easily as well. Then all we need is an andesite funnel on that ender chest and a little bit of power in here. I haven't thought about power. Fortunately for me though, we haven't got power too far away, and I'm pretty sure that if I dig a hole next to my storage trim, which is going underground, I can just take power. Yeah, look, it's right there, all the way down to where we need it. And there we go. We've now got power coming right there, which is very convenient, because hopefully if I put that on the right way, there we go. It's going in the correct direction. And if I do that, is that going to process it? It looks like it is. And that should hopefully mean that we're starting to get some experience going in there. Now we just need to power this. So let's just grab another cog, put that there. And somehow I need to get power from that to this. And there we go. That looks a bit tidier. The power's still coming up through the floor, but the grindstone's moved back. I've used a second gearbox in order to make sure those are spinning in opposite directions, and then I've just gone under the floor with the power to power this pump. Easy. That's our experience sorted, and because there's so much experience at the other farm, you can see the ender chest is not actually running out of this, meaning this tank is going to get very full. Jumping forward a little, I've brought the enchantment table up from down in the basement below, and I've now connected 2 experience hatches to 2 different things, because the way I wanted to do this doesn't work. The way I wanted to do this was to have a pipe which was linked to our big old experience tank, pump in XP to a valve, with a valve that I could turn to release the XP and then turn it back again to stop the XP flowing. But unfortunately, no matter how I do that, it just lets way too much experience through, and I just have to stand there for literally 5 minutes to gather it all because I can't pick it up as quick as it comes out. The other problem with that is I can't easily put it back again. So what I've ended up doing is added these fluid vessels, which are horizontal fluid tanks, connected them both up to our system, one pumping XP in and one pumping XP out. And now when I stand here, I can click to get a few levels out of that one. And when I've finished, I can then put them back into the top one and they'll flow back to the big experience tank. And just to show you that downstairs, not a great deal has changed in here at all, apart from I've moved the power going up through the building. It comes along here into these pumps, which then pump the XP backwards and forwards from where it's going. And looking outside, you can see we've got a couple of pipes coming up from the top of the experience tank and going through into our enchanting room. And there's the power that's just being diverted as well. So we've got an enchantment setup where I can get as many levels as I need. Now all I need are villagers, which must mean it's time to feed these guys some carrots. What guys? These guys. Where did I get those from? Oh yeah, I skipped ahead, didn't I? Here's me getting those villagers to bring them here and then feeding them carrots. Hello, villagers. I need your bestest and brightest breeders. Whichever ones of you are really good at making babies. Ooh, wow, you got a lot of food. Where are all the villagers? Ah, there's a farmer chap. Hello, farmer chap. You look like you're good at making babies. Come with me.
I'm not. I'm rubbish at making babies.
No, I think you're really good at it, mate.
Honestly, I'm rubbish. I don't even know what a child is.
Okay, villager number 1, you can enter the love den. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get you in here. I'm pretty sure if I just sort of stand there and click there. There you go. You are in the love den, sir. I shall go and get you a wife.
I don't want a wife.
Tough, you're having a wife.
It's not the sort of way I'm inclined.
Tough. Hello, villagers. I am looking for expert level 99 breeders. Oh, there's got to be one around here because there's a baby. Where's your mum?
I don't know.
Have you been abandoned?
Are you my mum?
No. Take me to your mum. Oh, there she is. Thank you very much for taking me to your mum. She'll be back for tea, I promise. She will definitely be back in time for tea. Come here, you cracker, go! There we go, with your best friend. Oh, look at you both working together in the carroty love den. Let me see if the carrot system works. I'll just press this button here and try and give you some carrots. They're taking them. They are taking the carrots. But are they going to make babies? Just press this button a few times. Give them plenty of carrots. Oh, look at all of the carrots that you're getting there. And you've got so many carrots, you don't even want those ones. This is absolutely wonderful. Now, if you could just get in the mood for me, that'd be ideal. And make me some offspring, that'd be even better. And there we go. That's how we ended up with these two villagers that are desperately in love with each other. We're not in love. That are going to produce as many babies for me as possible. But they're not. You see, the way a villager breeder works is the number of beds determine how big the village can grow. If there are 4 beds, which there are in here, that means there is space for 4 villagers. And currently there are only 2, so even though these 2 villagers are well fed and potentially could quite easily get in the mood because there are 4 beds, they can't, because we have other villagers nearby, and we will have other villagers in here. We've got 4 villagers in my barn, and they've actually got 4 beds above their head, and we've got another 4 villagers downstairs. And these guys have also got 4 beds above their heads. So we have 10 villages in total and 12 beds. So why aren't they breeding? Well, that's a very good question. They absolutely should be, but they're not. And the reason for that is they actually need 2 air blocks above their beds. And when I say air blocks, I just mean not full blocks. You can use carpets and trapdoors, that's fine, just not these glass blocks that I've put in place. Stop chucking carrots about and make babies. And we got one! A baby has been born! We've got our first one! The system works! My goodness, these grindstones are annoying! But yes, we have now got our very first baby just in there. Hello, sir. You're going to be a librarian.
I feel like a fisherman.
You're not a fisherman, you're a librarian. Stop, no, you're not jumping out. I'm busy. Right, have some more carrots, guys. I need more of these. Right, so while they're busy making babies, I suppose I should make some lecterns and somewhere for my librarians to live. Or work, at least, I guess. Well, here we go. 3 hours later, and I have a whole bunch of villagers and a whole bunch more in here. In total, I've now got 17 librarians, including the 4 that we had in the basement, and they're all here. We've got every single enchantment that I need, except for Protection 4, which I could not get after 2 hours of rolling these guys. The closest I could get was Protection 3, so I'll have to double that up. But we've got everything I could possibly need, as well as the original ones, which is the mending, the unbreaking, and the looting up here as well. So we're definitely not short of librarians. We're definitely not short of books. And I've even got these 2 guys here that I can sell paper to and even buy lanterns, which is very nice. So all I've got to do now is actually make myself some very nice tools and very nice armor. I'll be back in another minute. And there we go, just a couple of minutes later, and I now have a very nice helmet, a very nice chest plate, some very nice trousers, some very nice boots, and silk touch on all of my tools. Finally! I feel like I'm actually getting somewhere in this game. All I need now is a little bit of netherite on each one of these pieces of armor and tools, and I'll be set. But I've only got 3 pieces left, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things that need netheriting. So I guess it's tunnel bore time. Oh jeez, not tunnel bore in the nether. I don't want to do it. But I guess if I want the best tools and armor in the game, I'm gonna have to. Let's go tunnel bore. Find me a whole bunch of ancient debris. And there we go, a nice long trip in the nether, and I've emptied out the entire machine except for the netherite, and in there we have over a stack. Amazing. I also got a whole bunch of gold nuggets, and speaking of gold, I wonder how my train's getting on. But before we get to worrying about trains, let's go and get this ancient debris smelted. And that'll turn all of that into netherite scrap, and we can use a bunch of that gold to turn it into the netherite ingots. And there it is. And with that, we can make 18 ingots. And we've got a little bit left over. And that means now I can come to my smithing table, grab my smithing templates and my ingots and all the stuff I want to make into netherite, and just spend a little bit of time. And there we go. Everything is now netherite. I have completed the challenge. Cover me in debris. Now I'm epic. So those trains then. Let's go and find out how we're getting on. We'll start with my old iron farm, which should have... Oh, geez, you guys again. You just need to learn we're not interested. We don't need anything that you're selling. We are perfectly capable of getting whatever we want ourselves. Thank you very much. Right, anyway, iron. We have... Wow, 1,447 blocks of iron in here. I'll take it and squirrel it all the way in my backpack. And now for the rest of the train. And here it is, just busily working away on the track over at the other area. 220 blocks in there. A whole bunch in there. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Has that started again now? It has. Excellent. Right, what about gold? How are we getting on with the gold? We've got an awful lot of 500,000 quartz. And 220 blocks of gold as well. Amazing. Now, that would have been more, but these machines are set to stop when it gets to that much, just so they don't overproduce. And what I mean in terms of overproducing is just basically getting through so much stuff that this starts to overflow. And considering it has stopped, that should mean we've got a decent backup of also sand. Yeah, we've got a decent amount of sand and clay. Excellent. And we should have a decent amount of gravel as well. We have. Wonderful. What about cobblestone? Have we got a backup of 2.6 million cobblestone? Jeez. And today I wanted to build a quarry. Now they're here. Go away. A quarry. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to start working on next. Now, I can't guarantee I'm going to get the entire thing finished in this video, but at least we can make a start, and this is the area that I want to build it. And what do I mean by a quarry? Oh my, they're everywhere. What do I mean by a quarry? Well, I don't mean just sort of a dig site where we're just digging out the rocks in the area. I mean, I want to automatically produce cobblestone, gravel, andesite, probably granite and diorite as well, and I want to make machines for that, but not the sort of machines I've made before. And that brings me back to my test world. So for a cobblestone generator then, the priorities for me are that it is large, i.e. it produces a whole bunch of cobblestone very quickly. It's as not laggy as possible, which is always tricky with cobblestone generators. And I want it to be interesting. I want it to be different from the usual, the same way that I normally make cobblestone generators, the same way we all make cobblestone generators, because I just want to do something differently. So I'm going to start by looking at the different ways we can make cobblestone, and realistically there aren't that many different ways, so let's have a fiddle. For those of you that don't already know, cobblestone is generated by mixing water and lava. If you break the cobblestone in the middle, the water runs into the flowing lava and generates cobblestone. If the lava flows into water, however, it generates stone. So we can make both cobblestone and stone generators if we wanted to. But once you mine it, especially with a mechanical drill from Create, they're all going to turn into cobblestone. So there's no point in having a stone generator. And something like this takes up quite a bit of space, because basically if you have the lava in the same pool as the water, because water runs faster than lava, you just generate obsidian and lose your lava. However, you can mitigate this by waterlogging your water in something like a leaf block, and then using the lava to spread across. It will then generate cobblestone, albeit a little bit more slowly because lava does flow slower than water, but it's still pretty quick. The other way of minimizing your farm, assuming you're going to be using Create drills to mine the cobblestone, is to, instead of waterlog the leaf block, you can waterlog the drill. And that has exactly that. Oh no, it will flow out of there, won't it? Oh, jeez. No, yeah, if you're going to do that, you do need to have your lava elevated above your water level so that it doesn't get turned into obsidian. But of course, now we're going to create stone or cobblestone there where the drill can't reach it. And that's where Create drills are quite clever. The process the game goes through to generate a block and break a block are quite lag-inducing. The game has to physically place a block in the world, which updates the terrain around it, and then when it's broken, it has to do the same thing again. So there's quite a lot of process involved in just breaking and placing one block for the game. And when you have a cobblestone generator that maybe has 64 cobblestone blocks that you break in at once, so you can get a stack at a time, or a large amount, that soon adds up, generating a whole bunch of lag, or basically poor performance for your world. And the way the Create motors get around that is they don't actually place or break any cobblestone. When we apply power to that, and just speed it up a bit, you can see that when it breaks, you're not supposed to actually break it, you stupid! However, through the magic of placing a chute below where the cobblestone's going to form and then replacing that, you'll see that it never actually breaks. It just goes through the motion of breaking, but it never actually disappears and has to recreate, which means not only is it much faster at generating lots and lots of cobblestone, it also means that the water will never flow into the lava, which is very convenient. So the Create drills try to minimize the performance impact on your world by basically not actually breaking any cobblestone, but generating it into the chute below. As we can see from here, that has got a cobblestone in it. If I break that, every time a new cobblestone is broken, it will fall through the chute and just into that space below, which is lovely. But it's boring. It's the same way I've always done it, and I want to find a better way of doing it, or at least a more interesting way. Now, I have seen hacky ways in the past of doing it using moving pipes and things that actually will instantly generate cobblestone and instantly break them, but they are very laggy, so I don't want to go down that route. One misconception with cobblestone generators is that you can get more cobble by mining the same block with multiple drills. Here I've got 4 drills on one piece of cobblestone, and as you can see, it's ticking up around about a couple every second. However, if I delete 3 of the drills, you'll see it ticks up at exactly the same rate. Whereas if you have a whole bunch of drills over a whole bunch of cobblestone, you can drill a whole bunch of cobble at the same time and generate a whole bunch more of it at once. But then, yeah, obviously that becomes quite large and not particularly nice looking. And this is just me messing around. Of course, I've never built a cobblestone generator in this shape before, but I wanted to see how much cobble I could get from one block of lava. Not that it matters, because the lava doesn't run anywhere or disappear through this process, so we can effectively use as many lava sources as we like. But I'm just playing, jeez. So in terms of our system being not laggy, realistically we're not going to get any better than one drill breaking one block of cobblestone with some form of chute or system to take the cobblestone away. So realistically, I need to make as large a cobblestone generator as possible in the smallest amount of space while making it interesting. I don't know about that. Taking a trip down memory lane as we did previously for my wood farm episode, I'm back on my very first Create world, in my very first area, the starter area I had, and inside of this building I had a very interesting cobblestone generator. A cobblestone generator that I've only ever used twice before. This cobblestone generator doesn't follow the principles that we've just talked about, i.e. it doesn't just sit and break one piece of cobble over and over and over again. It actually uses a contraption with a big wall of drills. Imagine this almost like a train or a minecart contraption with drills going backwards and forwards. In front of the drills is a wall of water and the other side is a wall of lava. And every time the drills break the cobblestone that generates between them, the lava generates more cobblestone, which then gets broken by this contraption, and the contraption then just dumps all of that cobblestone into this vault here. It's very fast and it works very well, but it's also very laggy for something of this size, because we're constantly generating a whole bunch of cobblestone and then breaking a whole bunch of cobblestone, which we've already decided the game doesn't like. And so, cutting forward in time to the Just Create SMP, instead of using that laggy system to generate cobblestone, I use the new system we've got to generate cobblestone instead. We've got our waterlogged drills on each side of these with some flowing lava above, generating cobblestone in the middle, and we've got 2 rows of that on each side, making each one of these units generate 32 blocks of cobblestone at a time. And there were 8 of these units in total, generating a whole bunch of cobblestone. That's 256 cobblestone at a time compared to the last one, which was 64 at a time. But believe it or not, even with the new system in place that uses the non-breaking cobblestone block, these ones were even more laggy. And in order to demonstrate this working, I'm just going to free up 2 of these, and you'll see when I look at them, my screen goes a whole bunch more jittery. And if I enable all of them, you can see I'm really not having a good time in here at all. I'm still getting more than 120 frames per second. which is amazing. But it's just so not smooth. It's just jittery as I look around, which just makes it feel totally unplayable. So I need a system that can generate at least a stack of cobblestone at a time that isn't completely laggy. How am I going to do that? Well, what I've done here generates cobble pretty quickly, and seemingly it doesn't appear to be affecting my game too much. We have 8 lots of cobblestone in 6 lines, which is basically 48 pieces of cobblestone being broken at once. It is ridiculous, but is it interesting? Not particularly. Is it large? Well, it's nowhere near as large as the one I had on Just Create. But is it not laggy? And, well, I can't tell any real noticeable difference in my game with it running and with it turned off. But can I make this better? Can I make this more compact and more efficient and less reliant on these draw controllers, which are quite expensive? Now, this machine might look very similar to the last one, but this one actually does a little bit of cheating because this one actually includes 2 stone generators rather than 4 cobblestone generators. What I mean by that is if I break that cobblestone there, that's going to naturally generate a stone. And then when I run this, it's not actually going to do the trick where it just mines the cobblestone but doesn't actually break it and then replace it. It will continue as a stone generator. However, if I place cobblestone there first instead of stone, then it acts as a cobblestone generator following the same pattern, allowing us to get the full speed out of all of those drills, generating a massive amount of cobblestone very quickly. So I'm just wondering, can I squeeze any more cobble gens into this while maintaining a relatively small footprint? Before I find out, however, I want to just have a quick test with these chutes. At the moment, we've got a chute underneath every single piece of cobblestone going into these frame storage drawers. There's 1 storage drawer interface for each of the chutes. However, we can actually join the chutes together at an angle like this. But my concern is if we do that, are we restricting the flow of cobblestone into the interface, or can it actually send 2 pieces of cobblestone down at once? So both of these are linked up to the same power supply. They're both empty. If I start this, we should be able to see how quickly the items go in there, and that's very fast. And then we should also be able to see how quickly they're going into there. So once I stop this, we should be able to see that's got 1,376 in, and that one's only slightly behind, so perhaps we are losing a little bit of cobblestone. So just to double check that, let's throw on a fresh set of drawers onto these, give them a quantify key so we can see what's in them, and then just run that again. This one got 690 and that one got 704. So I don't think it's losing any. I just think there's a little bit of a difference as to how quickly these things kick in and how much cobblestone gets just shoved through in that first few seconds of it running. There does, however, seem to be a limit to how much cobble we can push through one lot of chutes. This system here has another 2 lanes of cobblestone blocks compared to that one, but this time we're forcing 3 lots of cobblestone through 1 lot of chutes. As a result, this is the number we're getting going in, which is a big number. It's going very quickly, but if I stop this, both of these are linked together. You can see 2,816 in there and only 2,400 in there. They've both been running for the exact same amount of time, and like I say, this one has another 16 pieces of cobblestone on it compared to that one, so that just proves that some of the cobblestone is just not getting through the chutes, not being generated, and therefore we're just wasting it. It's not efficient. And just for comparison, I've created exactly the same thing again, but this time each of the interfaces has its own chute for the cobblestone, so I expect this one to go a lot faster than either of these 2. So let's just turn them on, find out. Okay, I've stopped the machine. This one has 1,664. This one has 1,400, so yet behind, and this one has 2,448. So clearly, more rows of cobblestone equals better if you've got enough chutes. I have done a test. I've let all of these run for exactly 20 minutes, and I'm quite interested to find out which one's been the best. Starting with our first one over here, that's managed to get 105,000 cobblestone in it, which is pretty good considering it's not that big. The next one along, which has significantly less cobblestone in it, managed to get to 70,000 in there, which is not too bad. The one next to that with the joint ones managed to also get 70,000. So yeah, these 2 are pretty much identical. And then following that with the one that's all joined together, which we know is not going to be very good, got 56,000. And the one at the end, which should be as good as the one at that end, because it's got just as much cobblestone in it, managed to get a whopping 105,000. So it's exactly the same. So the question then is, what should I build? Should I build that? It's nice and simple, very low resources apart from the ridiculous number of interfaces that I'd have to build, and relatively lag-free, just like this one over here, which is a little bit more complicated to build. Takes up a little bit less room, but does look mildly more interesting. So why don't you guys decide? Let me know in the comments which of these you think I should build, and by the time I've already built it in the next episode, it will be too late for me to have done it, because I'll have already done it by the time this video comes out. But I would quite like to know anyway which one you would go for. Would you go for the pyramid version with the 48 cobblestone in it? Or would you go for the flat version with the 48 cobblestone in it? Let me know.